how do we do, what does it say exactly? Well, basically, how do I take someone's genetics and make them healthier? So everyone has their base level of genetics, right? And you have your epigenetics, which are when your environment either turns on or turns off a gene. And that can either work for you or against you, right? So there are certain genetics, a lot of them, that you have control over how they act in your body. And you can manipulate those via the way that you do things in your environment. And one of the things that I would say to people, regardless of who you are and regardless of what your genetics say, is that our environment is so full of toxins these days, and full of toxins that you're not even thinking about, including the blue light from your phone, and the 5G from your phone while you're holding it, and the Bluetooth headphones and the Wi-Fi and the, like, all the things, right? So one of the things is that you could be taking a binder to help your body clear some of the toxins via binding them. But one of the places that I start every single one of my clients with is rebuilding the system, because usually we have some nutrient depletion because there's some stuff going on that they aren't able to work around. And then we go through detoxing. So they go through a liver detox. And the number of people who have come to me with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, or your gallbladder needs to be taken out because your ejection fraction is only at like 20%, 10%, somewhere in there, and it's full of stones. And then the number of people with high cholesterol is crazy. Also, the number of people with liver enzymes that are like way out of control and they don't even recognize it. So I look at their genetic panel, and I also look at what's happening in the blood work, and we develop a program specific to them. And I have patients, literally, that have started on my physical therapy side and ended up on the client side of the health coaching, who have been told that they need to add yet another medication to their stack. And they've said, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to live my life taking pill after pill after pill. I want to solve the problem. So we pull the genetics and we start with nourishing, and then via looking at their genetic profile and how well their body actually metabolizes fats, how well their body breaks down different toxins, how well their body methylates, how well their body clears things. We set them on a nutritional plan based on that, and that pharmacokinetics might become irrelevant. And just as an example, I took a gentleman who's now 70, who had been on a statin drug since his 30s, from 80 milligrams of his statin drug every day to manage his cholesterol, down to twice a week with 5 milligrams, down to he no longer needs it because his cholesterol was getting too low and he was starting to have non-diabetic neuropathy. And that was with his physician's help and me telling him, ask these questions at each appointment. And another guy who is in his mid-60s, who had been on blood pressure medication and cholesterol medication and told still that he had non-alcoholic fatty liver disease and was developing statin-related autoimmune disorders, including rheumatoid arthritis. We reversed his non-alcoholic fatty liver. We got him off of the cholesterol medication. And his doctor, the only response his doctor said is, I don't care what you're doing, keep doing it. It's obviously working. And then another guy who's in his mid-80s, who was on medications to help with gout, medications to clear purines, medications to help his blood pressure, cholesterol, beta blocker, metformin, insulin. He's down to just the beta blocker. He's in his 80s. And then I had a woman who was on, they had just put her on her 6th blood pressure medication because the first 5 weren't working. So let's try adding another one. She's in her mid 70s. She's no longer on blood pressure medication. And again, this takes a certain kind of person, and they have to be willing to make the change. And what I have found is the older the person is, usually the more stubborn they are. The younger they are when they get a handful of medications, the easier it is to help them change, because they don't want that list of medications to keep growing as they get older. And I learned all of this by working with a company that was doing training on the epigenetic things that we can change, and my own experience. So from 2014 to 2020, I had been using a program to help other people lose weight, and I would do the program with them, and I would actually gain about 1 pound a month until I was back at my heaviest weight during my pregnancy, and was just like, forget it, I'm not doing this anymore. And I was eating so healthy and so clean and doing all the right things. And then I took this class, and part of it was having the genetics done and having a consult session with one of the people who was teaching the class, or one of the people at the company level who developed the testing and developed the recommendations based on it. And I had the opportunity to go through this class with an actual geneticist and go through my consult with an actual geneticist. And literally, she emailed me and said, I want to do your consult personally because this is fascinating. And I said, sure, why not? So we set up a time. And on that consult, we went through my full history, and we went through everything that was going on and everything that had happened. And then she said, honest to goodness, I don't know how you are as healthy as you are given your current status. And I was like, what does that mean? And she starts going through the consult, and I, still not having taken the class yet, because the class was being offered 2 weeks later, didn't really have a full understanding of everything that she was talking about, except that what she was doing in the details. And I changed my program to suit my genetics, my epigenetics, and with barely making any changes. Like, it wasn't a ton. Like, I literally did a liver detox and didn't change my food intake at all. Literally at all. Didn't change my sleep habits, didn't change my exercising. Lost 36 pounds in 6 weeks without changing anything other than detoxing my liver. And yes, it was a pretty heavy duty detox, but just that helped my body be able to drop 36 pounds in 6 weeks. And I think that's pretty significant. The other thing it allowed me to do, believe it or not, was for the first time ever in my life, not have hypoglycemic episodes. I went from literally like, I'm hungry, I have a headache, to passing out in less than 45 minutes a few times a week when I was younger and didn't really understand what was happening. And having no ability to go anywhere without a snack on me my whole adult life, to I've fixed this problem and I no longer suffer from this. So a lot of people say it's in its infancy and it can't be done. But I think what a lot of people don't see is that having it go past its infancy would ruin a lot of what pharmacy companies are doing. If you're interested in understanding better what your genetics are telling you about your health, book a consultation.